we met up with a pastor out of North Pole, Alaska. A lady by the name of Marie Fitz is a pastor of the Nazarene Church there. And as we were going to minister at her church, and when we first got together, and connected, she wanted to go with us up to Wainwright. She'd always felt like I wanted her to minister. She felt like a called minister up there. So we set it up where she would meet us in Anchorage on the way up, and we would go on up there. And she was going to just go along with us and see how things go and be part of what we were doing. And God was putting this all together all this time for a specific purpose, for very specific reasons. And you know, we look at things and we look at how things are going and what God is doing, and oftentimes we don't realize the time involved, and we have to give God lots of time because His time is not like ours. He doesn't look at something and say, oh, if we don't get this fixed right away, it's going to be detrimental. He knows how it's going to turn out. Last year when we went to Wainwright, Pastor Chad was there. We met with Pastor Chad and we connected with him, and everything was going good, and that was all great. The pastor of the Assemblies Church, Pastor John, and his wife Janet were actually in Florida when we were there last year. This year when we were there, Pastor John and his wife Janet were there, and we got to meet them. Well, I have no idea what transpired or what went on through all of that, but whenever John and Pastor Chad has been at the Baptist Church for a few years up there, and when John and Janet came up there at the Assemblies Church, I have no idea what happened, but for whatever reason, the two didn't get along. There was a problem. I'm sure there were some things said. Chad admitted that there were some things that had happened, and they weren't proud of it, and it has been like that ever since. When we got up there, Marie, the pastor of the Nazarene Church out of North Pole, she was just there for whatever. She was just there for whatever God wanted her to do. And we had made plans to visit, and we'd been visiting homebound people during the daytime before we minister at night. So there was a lady, Emily, that we were going to go see the very next day. Well, she got care flighted, or they got a call on the radio that she needed to, and so they sent an ambulance to pick her up at her house, and she ended up being flown out to Beryl. But anyway, the call came in that somebody needed to go pick her up. Well, Marie she was sitting there visiting with Pastor John at the time that the call came in. Chad, of course, he's on fire and rescue, so he goes and gets the ambulance, and he goes over to her house where John and Janet and Marie go to Emily's house, and they all meet there. Well, I guess when everybody got in the house, the water got hot. And Marie, because God had put all this together, and Marie was there, they all three went outside, and they made amends of everything. Amen. And if the whole trip was nothing but that, it was worth it. Because now the two pastors that are in Wainwright are no more at odds with each other. That repair has been made just through what God was doing. If Marie had not have gone, we were busy ministering. If Marie had not have gone, that wouldn't have happened. If we had not connected with Marie in North Pole and she hadn't met us in Anchorage and hadn't gone, that wouldn't have happened. God was doing things way in advance. He sees the problems, and He knows what's going on, and He knows how to fix them. If we'll just be obedient and go and do as He would have us to do, through our obedience, He uses that to make the amends and to make the repairs and to do things that we can't even imagine doing. Tuesday night, we're in Wainwright, and things are going really good. And Chad is going. He had to go on a 3-week training deal. And that's another thing about the summertime up there. It's daylight. It's just the window looks like that all the time. The sun just goes around and around. It doesn't go down. It just goes around and around. But so you don't really have any sense of time. I mean, here my body kind of knows when to eat by where the sun is. So up there, I'm thinking, this is time to eat all the time. But it was such a great experience because God was doing so many things. Tuesday night, Chad had gone on. They plan a lot of their stuff in the summertime. And that's what we realize is summertime is very important because it's very short. And so they make the most of their summertime. They use it to the best of their ability. Whatever's happening, when it's time to get her done, it's time to get her done because the sun ain't. And we started to make a joke out of it. Greg and Susie, Ness and I. Well, I hope we get done before sundown. That means sometime in September. Nonetheless, we're in services Tuesday night, and things are going good. There's probably about 300 people there, and in the gym, and service is going really good, and we're just, it's been a great time. And all of a sudden, a bunch of men get up and out they go.
Yeah.
Well, when you're doing services and a bunch of people get yours, you're like, okay, what happened? Well, somebody spotted some whale out in the ocean, out in the Arctic Ocean. And when they spot a whale, and it's time to go now. It ain't time to, well, we'll see if they're there tomorrow. No, it's time to go now. So a bunch of them, they grabbed a boat. They was going to go try to, I was talking to Sandra's sister, or Sandra's brother, what they were going to try to do is go out and they figured there was about 140 whale in this pool. They were going to go cut some of them out and bring them back, try to direct them back towards the shore to where they could harvest them. When the whale got away, they didn't make it. But again, their timing is whatever is happening, when it's time, it's time. There's no time to wait, and there's no time to waste. The summertime is very, very important. That's how they survive the rest of the year. And so one of the things that we learned this year was maybe our timing. When Sandra first asked me if I'd ever go to July, or ever go to Alaska, and I said, oh sure, in July. God used that to get me hooked up and get me going, and then now He's showing us as we go, each time we go, we're learning more and more about how to effectively minister to the people up there and be effective in what God's sending us to do. And July is probably not the most effective time because they're busy doing the things they do in the summertime. So as we pray about it, and as we're looking at as things going on, we're going to continue to pray about it if God wants us to go back next year, but we're realizing that July may not be the best time to go. It's the best time if you want to go fishing. But it may not be the best time to go the kind of fishing that we're doing. The churches in Anchorage area, they have one service on Sunday morning, that's it. They don't open on Wednesday, they don't have it because they're busy fishing, they're busy hunting, they're busy doing what they do in the summertime. So again, as we're going and we're seeing how things work up there and what things transpire, we're learning more and more about it all the time. Now the Jamboree in Wainwright is awesome because they come together in July. It's after their wading season, they come together, and there was how many different villages were there, Sandra?
Barrow, Nooksack, Wainwright, Little Diomede, Nome.
Yeah, at least 5-6 different villages that had come for the Jamboree. So it was really good. It was really a very, very good service there. And God is working through what we're doing. But it was just amazing to see when we got to Barrow, there was a new couple there. The pastor Brian and his wife Elizabeth, they just came there in March and took that church there. It's a community church. And we got to minister with them. And that's what I was talking about, Gary, when I was talking about while we were there ministering, while we were at their church, there was a young lady there that she had some major issues sitting close in the back with another lady, and she would just scream out. And she needed salvation. She needed a lot. And we were able to be there and to be with her and to pray with her, and she came. And this is what we're seeing there. There's a lot of this, and there needs to be a lot of ministry going. And there needs to be, the couple that's there, they were so glad that we came. They said, we've been here since March, and nobody's come to visit, or we've had no really any support. And just like Pastor Chad told us last year, just y'all coming and just worshiping with us and just helping us out a little bit gives them an energy to continue to go. And so just the going, just the idea of somebody's coming to see us. It's kind of like when we're at home and Thanksgiving time comes and we have company come, somebody's coming. It's once a year, they're coming, they're going to come see us, they're going to give us a little inspiration, they're going to give us a little boost, they're going to give us a little help. And that's what this ministry is doing for those people up there. Now, as we were up there, we were talking about, well, we don't know if we're coming back next year. We're going to wait and see if God provides we kind of put it back in God's court and said, if you give us a place for next year, if through the meeting of the people we meet up here and the times that we're here, if something transpires when we meet somebody that kind of gives us an invitation to come back, of course Wainwright wants us to come back, so he says, well, we'll come back next year if y'all want, but we don't want to come back unless we're invited, and everybody claps. So we know Wainwright wants us to come back, but so through the whole trip, we're waiting to see if God's going to open up the door. We're thinking about different places and different villages, and nothing's happening. So we're just going to, well, Lord, however this trend works out, we're just going to let you take care of it. And we're not going to worry about it. We know Wainwright is an open door, and we can go to Barrow, and that's for sure. but we want to try to reach and reach more each year. Every time we go, we want to reach a little farther. So we're sitting on we've gone through the whole thing. We've been to Wainwright, we've been to Burrow, we've been to North Pole, we've been to Two Rivers, we've done all the ministry. We've had a day to kind of think about things. We're back in Anchorage, getting ready to come home, and still nothing has really come about. We got to see John and Tanya. Some of you might remember John and Tanya was here this last winter. They met us in Anchorage and got to visit with them a little bit, and Pablo and Martha. And so that's it. We get on the airplane, we start home, and we're sitting on the airplane coming home, and sitting next to Sandra is a lady, a native from Nixie.
Nuiqsut.
Nixie. And so she gives us all the information we need to get a hold of it. I'm supposed to call her after the 27th of this month. This next week I'll give her a call and to establish a connection there to maybe to go to Nixie next year. But see, we could have picked our own destination. We could have found our own place, decided this is where we was going to go. But all the way to the last airplane ride home, God set somebody next to Susie, and they make the connection. Because if you sit next to Susie, you're going to talk to Susie. Doesn't matter. So, see, we realize that the ministry is there. There's something that God is doing. And it's not about what we're able to contribute. It's just about being obedient to what God would have us to do. The presence, the knowing that, and it's like John, I got an email from John and Dad. We're so glad you guys are here. We so look forward to y'all coming back. It's a once-a-year deal, but it just energizes the people and lets them know. It just means a lot when you know somebody cares. It means a lot to people when they know there's somebody somewhere else that really is concerned about us and really wants to really work with us and really wants to pray with us and is praying with us through the year for things to get better. They're up there, they're ministering in a place that's very, very difficult. It's very hard. It's very diverse. There's just an innumerable amount of things going on. And it's constant. It's always. It doesn't change. And then I can't imagine, I mean, we're only there in the summertime, but I can't imagine what it's like when it's dark all the time. You know, it's got to get gloomy. It's got to get tiring. It's got to get, and they're still up there trying to minister to people, and it's got to get more and more difficult as the year goes on. So this summertime, when we're able to go up and minister to them, this means a tremendous amount to these people. They're so happy to see them. And I don't know how it happens. You know, typically, if you spend 3 or 4 days with somebody every day, all day long, after about 3 or 4 days, you're ready for them to go somewhere else for a while. Well, we spent day and night, all day, all night, ministering, talking, eating, everything with Greg and Susie. But God has made a connection there, even at that point when they're about to get on the airport, they're on the airplane. You know, it's heartbreaking because we've been working together, we've been ministering together. Yeah, it got tense. When we got to Barrow, it got tense because it was a tense. Inside the church building, it was tense. It was not something that I have experienced in a long time. That very uncomfortable feeling in the church building itself. The spirit, it was as I tried to explain it to Daryl, it was if you could just sense the spiritual warfare going on amongst the people there. And it is the first night, it was very difficult to even get our feet off the ground and get things going. It was very hard to minister that first night. Friday night was better. But and that even makes it more tiresome. That even makes it harder. When you've been ministering for 4 or 5 days, and then you're going into your 5th or 6th day, and when you walk into a place, and the pastor and his wife, Brian and Elizabeth, very great people, very passionate about it, but everything else was just very, very tense. And it makes it hard. But it's still, at the end of the day, you're just filled because you know that you're doing what God would have you to do. You see the purpose, you see what he's doing, you see that he is doing things, and that's what continues to make us, because this year, I mean, I'm excited about going, but when we got there, you get your stuff packed up, and you get on the airplane, and you're headed there, and it's 3,000 miles, and 12 days, and, you know, it was kind of difficult. I mean, I was like, okay, Lord, I'll go as long as you want me to go, but it's not as exciting this year as it was last year, but it was once we got there. And as I've seen what God is doing and how He's connecting us, I mean, the number of pastors we met this time and other leaders of other churches that we met was tremendous. And so there is a lot of people doing a lot of God's work, and they need a little boost. They need a little help. And if we can be that little inspiration once a year, as long as God would have us to do it, it's a great thing. It really helps some people out. And I believe that's what they need. I believe that. And all we do is take our music book and away we go. You know, when God gives us every day God would give me another scripture to read. So you say, where are we at? I'd be reading every morning, and every day, so you say, where are we at today, Pastor? Well, this is where we are. And the message for the first 4 nights or 5 nights was all about God's church and the unity of it. And what it really is, and how important it is that we work diligently to try to bring this thing together and keep it together. Because there's an enemy out there that wants to tear it down. And he's striking at it at every angle that he can. The Bibles, they love the Bibles. They're so happy to have Bibles. When we went to Brian and Elizabeth's church, we don't have, people come up wanting Bibles. We don't have Bibles yet. We can't get them. They were tickled to have the Bibles. They were excited about it. We had Sandra did a tremendous job. Hats off to Sandra. When we got done in Wainwright, she just about could not talk anymore. Her voice was just almost gone. And then when she got the anger, Larry didn't get to go fishing because Sandra got sick. But hats off to Sandra. She did a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of things to make sure that this happens. And as I explained to Pastor Marie, I said that the passion that Sandra has for her people is what's feeding this. And this is what needs to be. There's a video that Marie told me about. Inspirational video. I'll have to get you the information, but that Marie told me about a eastern village, Eskimo village up there that had gotten so far away from God that the animals that they hunted and lived off of, the caribou and the different animals that they hunted to live off of, had actually moved out. The people were in a place where they were about starving to death because they had gotten into all kinds of self-mutilation and witchcraft and all kinds of things in their village. And then the animals had moved out. And they had a minister that came in, a native minister that come in, and he hooked up with another guy. And they began to minister, and they began to save people, and they began to preach, and they began to lead people back to God. And as the church began to come back together, the animals moved back in. Now that's just how powerful God is. That's just how real it is, how important it is that the church stand strong, that the church be all it has to be, because that's what supports the whole community. You know, we think about ourselves meeting here on Sunday morning, but in reality, the churches that are meeting in our area is what keeps our area alive. There might be a lot of people that don't come to church. There might be a lot of people that are out there that aren't contributing. There might be a lot of people out there that don't care. But Jesus cares.